Welcome back, everybody, to I don't know which episode this would be, but we are at SRC April Hall 2024, Frisco, Texas. I'm with my friend Randy Brothers. How the hell are you, man?
Dude,
Good
I'm
to see
doing
ya.
great, man. I finally made it. I made it to the big show.
Yeah.
I'm a big timer now.
Yes.
So I made it on your show, bro.
What's cool is about this being here, like you can't really, I think, appreciate it until you actually see it, because with them just watching us,
Yeah.
from a distance like they are, but when you're here like this to really get to experience it and enjoy it, you can really appreciate the time, the effort, and the energy that it's taken the team to put this thing up. And of course, you get to witness the little hiccups that we have too with going live, raw and uncut. And that's kind of been like our thing. And we've learned that from you, whether you know that or not. We've always
Really?
watched you, because shit, I don't remember when I started watching your show, at least 3 years ago. It was live, you and
Nick.
Nick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nick. Yeah, Nicky
Yeah.
P.
Yeah. So that was like my favorite, because your show would be on Tuesdays. Ours was on Wednesdays, but this was before Thursdays. Back then it might have been on Thursdays, because you switched it somewhere in there. But
Yep.
we were watching you, and it was like, it was live, it was raw, it was uncut. People were commenting. Somebody from your team or yourself was engaging with the crowd and stuff like that. So we learned like, oh wow, he's getting a lot of engagement by engaging
Yeah.
with his crowd and stuff like that. And so we've always kind of looked up to like what you did. Like you're definitely the GOAT, the greatest of all times when it comes to the roofing podcaster. You know what I mean? So you've inspired us, whether you know that or not.
Wow. I mean, I wouldn't go so far. I'm just a guy who just grabbed a phone and tried a thing, and
Yeah.
so looking at this setup, I mean, you're the GOAT now, bro. Like I'm just we've been doing it a long time. I think I have like 300 episodes or something at this point, but I've gone the other direction.
Yeah.
Just because it's so many things. At some point, you got to kind of pick and choose where you're going to put your time and energy. And,
100%.
and we like to create and make sure we stay consistent with our content. But man, this setup for y'all listening or watching this, like you got to be here to see this. It's next level, and you guys have done an incredible job with this for sure.
Thank you so much. We saw what you were bringing. You brought a lot of not just inspiration and stuff, but the knowledge and the wisdom that you were bringing. The content is very relevant. Like I don't even remember how much stuff that I've learned over the years by listening to you. So it was kind of like we wanted to also implement and complement what you were doing and bring something to the roofing industry to have a good impact, lasting impact, and get the messages out, whatever the message is, or the knowledge that needs to be out there. Because as well as I do, the roofing industry is like 10 years behind the HVAC industry.
Yeah.
Now it's rapidly changing here. And a lot of it has to do with guys like you early on that was trying to get out there, like any new tool that was being implemented by your company personally or something, or someone that you knew, that you could bring on your show and express what they were getting involved with and how it was going to change our industry and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, because of guys like you and I that love and are so passionate about our industry, we're just trying to make an impact and leave it better than it was the way we found it, I guess.
Absolutely. Well, and for me, getting the ideas and meeting the people and connecting to build up the audience, or not this, the guest list, this type of event. We're here at SRC here in Frisco, Texas. Like coming to these events is where I connect and meet people and connect with people. And for me is always really important that if I'm going to bring some on my show, I want to make sure, they fit that kind of criteria of values, and just making sure that they're there to share and give back to the industry and not take. You can kind of tell if somebody's like just trying to get what they can get just by selling something. You're coming on here trying to be all salesy. No, it's share the story. And our show, the premise has always been, we want to share the entrepreneurial journey in roofing. It's not just roofers. It's, Lead Scout or whoever, like somebody, other companies, software companies, like manufacturers, like anybody we can get that can share entrepreneurial and intrapreneurial leadership type of advice.
Yes.
Based on experience. Hey, that brings value to the audience, and people like that, and they listen, they watch, and they want more. So that's kind of the baseline of what you're doing now
Yeah.
and what we've been able to do and get started. It's super cool. So.
Yeah, it is. It is cool, man. And it's been cool to watch you on your journey. And again, I can't say enough, kudos to you for being that trailblazer for us and opening, our eyes to like, hey, this is how we can reach, our people in our industry and find those that align, whether it be our core values or our beliefs, right?
Yeah.
To bring those types of people on the show and how much I've learned by bringing these guests on or coming to
Exactly
events like this. Like I get more out of interviewing you and just asking 5 questions, right?
Yep.
And mostly, and I hate to say this out loud, but selfishly, like I'm asking you them questions because I don't know or
Yep.
need to know, right? And I'm sure if I don't know these things, our viewers or listeners don't know either, and that usually turns into a great conversation with great content and a lot of knowledge and experience that
Yeah.
I get to gain, and so does everybody else. And this is, social media, it's social commerce. Like this is what is making the roofing industry not as big. It's kind of shrinking it down where we can reach more people on such a, in 30 minutes.
Yep.
And it's kind of cool because, I didn't realize that when we started this, I'll be honest with you, when we started this, we were trying to figure out a way to allow people to know about this charitable event that we were trying to participate in. So we built these gazebos, and we were a part of the York Builders Association, which hosts the York County Home and Garden Show. So we go to builder shows. So we built these gazebos. We were auctioning them off, and we're like, well, how are people going to know to come to the home show to bid on these gazebos? And somebody made a comment or mentioned, why don't you do a Facebook Live?
Yeah.
So iPhone 8 out in front of it. Hey, I'm Ty with TC Backer, and we built these gazebos. Come on down, February, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it's a silent auction. Come on down. So we did that for about 4 or 5 weeks prior to the home show. Went live the entire time we were at the home show, and we realized at that point in time we were reaching more people outside the home show than what was actually attending the home show. So we're like, well, maybe we're on to something. And mind you, back then you could host a watch party.
Yeah.
So the reach was a lot easier.
That was back when Facebook was really promoting all the lives. So it was like plugging it everywhere. And
yes.
And you get a lot of exposure that way.
Yes.
Reach a lot of people. It's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It was cool. Definitely. And I think it was more towards like a TC Backer thing. Right. But then the more we started to dig into like the whole podcasting thing, that's when I discovered Randy Brothers and the Start Build Growth show.
Yeah. Man.
Right. And I thought it was like, oh my God, this dude's like, and plus we were running out of content. It was like, dude, I can only talk about shingles so much. I can only talk about windows so much, gutter, solar. And I was like, oh my God. Like, so then it went to solar month or gutter month. So 4 weeks in a row, we would talk about roofing and stuff like that. And it was great. And people were watching, but we didn't even care if people were watching. It was like our little garage band. You know what I mean? And there's Randy Brothers, our rock star up on the, I know I keep plugging, hopefully I'm not embarrassing you, but
a little bit, man. I'm like, whoa, I didn't realize that. What's crazy about that though, is we just had an idea and we're like, hey, at the time he had a marketing company and I was getting my coaching, the roofing academy off the ground. And we're like, let's just go live and create a little show. And we weren't even a podcast at first. We just went live, and it was in the comments.
Same.
A couple weeks in, maybe like 5 or 6 episodes in, someone's like, hey, are you recording this? Is it a podcast? We're like, hey, maybe we should do a podcast. So it just kind of happened.
Yes.
Just like, let's go live. Let's see what happens and go from there. So it's really cool to see. And you don't realize, like, it's kind of cool, man, because right now I'm kind of having a moment of like realization of like the impact that it actually has.
Sure.
We've just been doing it for so long. Now it's just part of, we still produce, we still create it. I haven't done the live thing a lot more lately, just selfishly, the time. And the commitment of setting it all up, dealing with the technical challenges and the time and taking away from my family in the evening times and every single week being consistent. We made a decision to kind of switch. So now we still produce a podcast every single week, but the live thing, I kind of miss it. And I'm kind of like getting the itch, like maybe we should start that again. And what's really funny is me and Nick just caught up for a beer a couple weeks ago, just hung out because we're so good buddies. And it was cool to catch up. He's not even in the roofing industry anymore, but he's doing some really cool stuff with what he's doing with right now. And I'm like, we should do like an episode, like a recap of, hey, it's been literally 5 years ago is when we started this.
Wow.
This is crazy to think about.
Yeah, that's amazing. And going back to like, we just recently switched from 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 12 o'clock lunchtime. We're doing like a lunchtime uh, episode during each week and stuff like that. And it's like when you were talking, it's like not only was myself and the team, but my family was also held hostage.
Yeah.
Basically every single Wednesday night for 4 straight years. So it was like, and then I'm not fresh either at night, like 7 p.m. after working, all day long. And I try to pace myself, but I'm a go-getter. So no matter what was going on or whatever challenges, I would have to deal with them. But then to try to bring it every Wednesday night, like you said, being live, you have to remain, that I can't show on my face, even though I know it has probably more than I'd like to admit to shown on my face that I just had a long day.
Yeah.
And that I really
in
don't
the roofing
do
business, you don't have long days. There's no stress. There's no challenges to deal with.
Not at all.
There's no way.
Not at all. Right. Yeah. But anyhow, but it was like, okay, let's switch it up. I mean, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Okay. So we might lose, our viewership, but then we've always never made that like how many people are watching. Thank God we never made it about like it wasn't about like the dopamine hit. We didn't even know what that was back then when we first started this, but knowing what we know now, thank God that wasn't our intentions when we first got started, and we still don't chase that dopamine hit. I think our intentions have always been good, but I know that I need to be on point with whatever the topic or discussion of the person that we have coming in. I don't want this to suck for you. Either. Do you know what I mean? So I know I gotta be on point. I gotta, do my research and those kinds of things, because I want the content to go out there, because the reason why we're doing this is for those of everybody that's watching and listening. It's about them. It's not even about us.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I don't care how many ums, ands, ahs, buts, F-bombs every now and again I might drop. Like it's like it is what it is. I am.
It's real. It's raw. And I would, while I got you, I appreciate that you've taken the torch on that, because that was at the time. I mean, Facebook Live was like a thing, but we're like, what if we do a live podcast every single week and we get new guests and new people on? And apparently it worked. It was pretty cool. Yeah. And you guys have kind of taken the torch and leveled up like 100x, not just 10x. So it's cool. I appreciate you kind of carrying on, and it's like full circle coming back like years later to be able to be a guest on your show.
Right. Yeah.
And hopefully someone listens and gets a little value.
Yeah.
It's just,
that just gave
cool,
me
man.
Goosebumps, because I hope, if anything else, I hope that we inspired you to want to get more creative with it, where you can find get that spark again, reunite that flame for you to, not that you've died out or petered out, but I understand the grind, because unless you've done this as long as you've done this, the wear and tear that it has on your mind, because we only have so much bandwidth throughout the course of the day or week.
Oh yeah.
Right. So to suit up and show up week in and week out, like you have done for 5 years, dude, you're the Iron Man. You're the Iron Man of podcasting in the roofing industry. And if you didn't have a nickname, like you are now the Iron Man.
The Iron Man, I'll take it.
Okay. You're not self-proclaimed. So we gave you the Iron Man. And again, we get that.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you. So I can't remember. It was either Deshaun Bryant or David Taggart that actually saved us. Okay, one of them reached out to us. I don't know which order it was, because like then 2 weeks later, the other one came on the show. One of them reached out to us, and I was like, "Hey, man, I'm kind of digging your podcast. Do you mind if we come on?" It was like I didn't want to act too excited right away. Yeah, I was like, "Oh yeah, we think you. Yeah, we can probably squeeze you in." Behind the scenes, I was like, "Thank you, baby Jesus," because I was just out of content, bro. We were so out of content. It was like, because now it was just becoming like this grab assy. We were how much can you talk about? Like, we were talking about our team a good bit, which it had helped strengthen our culture, because most of our team watches, our show and stuff like that. And usually when we're launching something new, they find out here first, because normally I'll dribble it out, before.
Hey, we got a new CRM coming out in the company next week, and you're going to be training. Congratulations.
That's right. I'll let something leak out that way a lot of times. And that's how we've also so we do the 21 turkey salute. And that was just because of a conversation that was 3 of us having. I think I asked somebody, like, what's the Guinness Book of World Records of turkeys being deep fried simultaneously? And it was 20. So being who I am, you know, all or nothing kind of guy, I was like, all right, well, we're going to beat the Guinness Book of World Record. But there's got to be purpose behind it. I don't want to just go and buy 21 turkeys and just deep fry them and not know what to do with them. So we were like, well, we're going to feed people.
There you go.
So we went downtown, and we actually, I think the first year we did like 30 some turkeys. The second year we did like 60, and now I think we're up over 80 turkeys.
That's awesome.
Over 800 people. So this is where the creativity happens. This is where the magic happens. You know?
I love it. Yeah, and you mentioned this earlier, and I'll retouch this a little bit because it applies so much, I think, to life, and listeners can take this. Is I learn more by teaching than I do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And like interviewing, like when I'm doing my show, I learn so much from my guests. It's like I can just bring any industry expert I need. We got the platform, I can learn all this stuff. And then coaching, right? I have a whole coaching platform with the Roofing Academy, and I'm constantly learning because every conversation I have, sure, I've got, you know, a lifetime of experience at this point, 20 years of in the grind, figuring it out, trying to build great businesses.
Yeah.
And I can always share, but I always find myself learning more than what I feel like I'm actually giving to whoever it is, whatever conversation I'm having. And it's cool. It's just, that's what reinforces like why I do what I do, why we do what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing too, I just go off the cuff here.
Go for it.
Talk about the why behind so much of this is why do a podcast? Why do you have a very successful roofing company. I have a very successful roofing company. I don't need to do podcasts. I don't need to coach. I don't need to do those things. But the thing is, man, when I got into this business, this industry found me in a dark place. Mm-hmm. I was homeless. I was broke. Just broke up with my long-term girlfriend. Like nothing really in life was going positive for me. I was very entrepreneurial spirit. I wanted to make things happen. I've always had that. Mm-hmm. But like when I kind of stumbled into this industry, I was in a bad place. Mm-hmm. And this industry has provided an incredible life, took me out of that, mm-hmm. got me out of bankruptcy, got me, out of homelessness, all the things. And it provided an incredible life for me, for my family, and not only for my family, my immediate family, but my mom, my sister, my brother, like everybody, my dad, everybody in my immediate family, mm-hmm. plus my extended family, they've all been immersed in this industry, plus friends and people that I've grew up with, and the amount of impact that I've been able to have, even in a closed circuit, it is incredible. So that's like, I feel like I owe it, like, and it's the type of person I am. Like, this industry has provided so much for me that who knows where I'd be right now if I didn't have this. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I'm grateful and blessed and more than willing to give back and do these things, because if I can help one other person who was in a place where I was in to then see what happens, the ancillary benefits of, the elusive gain that they get from just learning something that you shared or that I shared or that a guest or that something we can teach them on a coaching call or something like that. It just, there's no way to really describe the feeling and the gratitude that I get from being able to do that. So it's my duty to give back. And that's why I'm here, man.
Thinking that's like, it's your moral obligation to give back what has been, I don't want to say freely given to you, but like what you've worked for and out of the pits of hell that this industry has pulled you out of. Yeah. And you feel like you got to give back. Yeah. What has been given to you, right? And I feel the same way too. That's been like one of my biggest motivators. And the one thing that you missed, and I know, or maybe that's what you meant by your immediate family, was your team, the impact that you've had on your team and their families, and their extended families because of your success, right? That you've been able to impact so many other people that you're not even on social media saying, hey, touting from the rooftops like, hey, look at me, the great Randy Brothers that I am. You don't have to do that. You've always presented yourself in a very humble light. I love what you do. The impact that you're having on your family, your team, all of the entire roofing industry, right? And I was just sitting there when I was paying attention to what you're saying. So there's a threefold thing about you when you're out there coaching and teaching people, right? So one, you're going to practice what you preach. So one of the learning things that you learn more from teaching than than the student, right? Is one, you're not going to tell them to do something if you're not doing it yourself, right? Two, you have to stay one step ahead. So basically, you got to continuously level yourself up because you got to come up with new stuff, right? Because once the student gets to a certain level, right, you need to make sure that they're continuously leveling up. So you need to level up. So it's pushing you, whether you know it or not. I know you know that, but you have to stay ahead of that.
Yeah, man.
Right. And then I can't remember the third fold of that, of what I wanted to say, but that's one of many things that, those two things there that I just mentioned is why I think we get so much out of teaching and having other people come on our podcast, is because we're not going to sit here and just say something live and not actually mirror that when that camera's turned off. You know what I mean? It's just, that's not who we are. It's not how we're built. You know what I mean? So and this is accountability. You know what I mean? For us and those around us, that if we're not doing what we're saying that we're doing, then how can we expect them to do it if we're not leading by example?
Yeah. Well, and I think there's a couple of things as we probably try to land the plane, and we've got a bunch going on in this event right now.
Yeah.
But a couple of things there is, one, you said practice what you preach. And for me, like, it comes up in question, like, okay, you have, you're doing the podcast, you have the media stuff and the roofing academy and the coaching and consulting and all of that stuff, and a roofing company. Like, at what point do you pick one or the other? At what point do you just go into coaching and consulting?
Yep.
And I might be one of the last people in the coaching business that's still holding on, because I feel like I stay involved with my roofing company because of it's constantly evolving and constantly changing. Like, I'm not done yet. I haven't figured it all out. I don't have it all figured out. We've seen some really cool things. We've been some major ups, major downs. We've seen so much, but I feel like the industry is constantly changing. And if I'm going to do, this can be I had some good arguments on my show about this specific topic, but I feel, in my opinion, that I'm going to be the best coach and the best, have the best answers and guide people the best when I'm still getting firsthand experience. Because as soon as I leave, and at some point, who knows, maybe that'll happen one day, maybe that's in the cards, but as soon as I'm like, okay, the roofing company is over here, now I'm going over here, that disconnect starts to happen. And then I'm not being super true to, like, hey, this happened in my company last week, and now I can share this with you to help you avoid that mistake I made, or learn whatever it is. So that's why I stay dedicated to both. And then the last thing I'll say is, like, about the show, and one of the things I learned is in all things in business is just be consistent. Like, show up day in and day out. Show up and keep showing up and keep showing up and keep showing up, and the results will come. I mean, from the roofing side, man, if I showed you like a graph of where we started to where we like skyrocketed, I'm cover of Roofing Contractor magazine, just crushing it, and then 4 years of no storms, and then it's like, okay, we're hovering here, we're trying to figure it out, like launching new branches and doing whatever we can to survive and figure things out, and then all of a sudden, it all just clicked again, storms happen, all this, and then shot up again. Like, that's what life looks like. But the key is show up every single day and learn and grow and learn and grow and learn and grow. Same thing with the show. It's like I'm like my hair is standing up, because it's like 5 years ago, every single week we've produced just about every single week for over 5 years now, we've put out a show. I'm with you. I don't even know the data. Like, I don't know how many downloads. I think it's good. I mean, you told me that it inspired you. So cool. That worked. One guy was inspired by our show for doing it for 5 years. That's enough for me.
Yeah, man. Right on. That's all it takes. That one person that you're impacting. Okay. So to circle back a little bit on the, letting go yet. Okay. Do you think it's because you don't think you're finished pouring into your team yet? Like, you feel like you still got a lot to offer, and that you don't want to let them down, because a lot of those people, if you would just turn your back now and go into coaching, you'd feel like you let them down. Do you think that's why you don't want to let go yet?
There is a sense of like duty and commitment. Like, that's my brand, my company, and I recruited a lot of people, and they and they like need leadership. And there's a certain point where I went through this, we're launching TRA, and it was like took a lot of my energy. And I know, and a year and a half later, I knew I wasn't putting as much in the roofing side. You can see a sense that the things change, the culture change, like the energy of people change. I'm like, wait a minute, no, I got to figure this out. I got to pour back into this and make sure that keep the main thing. That's my baby. That's the business that's taking care of my life, my family, everything. Like I can't just abandon that because of this shiny new toy over here. That doesn't work. Like I learned little hard lessons in there, and now I'm trying to really massage and figure out my time and how I'm able to kind of do things that are in my strength zone, but and incorporate both. The media, the content is great, but coaching. Okay, it's not just me coaching clients. But I love that you mentioned that, because my role in my business, like I'm not in the day-to-day all the time. I'm not in the office all day. I'm not like out solving leak problems and dealing with, I don't do that anymore. I have an amazing team of people who are better than me at it, so I don't have to do that anymore. However, I know my job as the face, the founder, the leader of the organization, like they still do need that. I can't just abandon that. So my role as it's shifting is coaching my team and coaching my clients. Like that's what I'm passionate about. I love it. I'm trying to pour when I'm reading books, I'm going to conferences, I'm going to events, getting certifications, like doing whatever I can to be the best life coach, business coach, like that I can be, so I can lift both up. Right. So I love that you mentioned that, because that's my role is, be the face, create content, like always innovate and vision for both companies, but coach my team as well as our clients. And that's what I love to do.
Yeah, no doubt. And the reason why I asked that, because I experienced similar situation, right? I don't necessarily, I do coach a few people on a personal level. I don't have a whole course and stuff like you do with the academy and stuff like that, but I do coach some other roofing contractors and stuff to try to save them a lot of time and energy and resources and money. But I started to pull away from my roofing company, and we were traveling a lot and stuff like that, opening up new locations, traveling a lot with behind the ToolBelt, and I noticed that the energy was shifting a little bit, and things just didn't seem the same when I was getting back. Plus, my head was somewhere else. I was getting ready for the next traveling event or whatever I had going on at the time, and but I just noticed things weren't the same, and I wasn't present. Right. And so I made a goal to myself. This was last year, the beginning of 2023. I said to myself, it's like, I know I can't be here and do all the, the things that I wish that I could do, because I like to get in the weeds. But when I am here, I need to be present. They need to know that I'm here. Right. I currently read this book. Now, it really doesn't have anything to do about it, because I interpret things a little bit differently, but it's called The Energy Bust by John Gordon. It's just a short read. You could sit down and read it in one book. And they talk about the CEO creating other CEOs, right? And what a CEO is a chief energy officer. So my job today is to create other chief energy officers. So when I'm there, I need to be present. If someone needs my team, like, my door's always open. If you see my truck outside, I'm here, my door's open. Like, I can't keep that door shut, like I'm so guilty of, because I'll get inundated. I'll inundate myself with all these shiny things that aren't even really relevant at times to the vehicle that actually that gave me the opportunity to get involved with those shiny things. You know what I mean? It's like, I can't let this thing shrivel up and die over here. You know what I mean? And we got awesome people, like everyone that you see that's here helping us. The podcast isn't their full-time job. TC Backer is actually their full-time job, and I've made this a part-time job for them. But Vic gravitated towards us. He's a wonderful musician. We hired him to be our costing manager. Well, he showed interest about 3 years ago in the podcast, and now he's like, I made a name up for him. He's like my chief, I don't even know, engineer, AV engineer or some shit like that. But it's created opportunities, not to get off track, but like, I don't want this to be a distraction of those people that have been following. These people have been following me for some of them over a decade. And here I'm out gallivanting and doing all these things. And not that the people that replaced me in those positions aren't good at what they do, but like, I'm the guy that brings the heat. You know what I mean? I'm the one that sold them on that dream, that vision, right? And it's hard to follow somebody, a manager's vision when it's like, well, I want your job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when I show up and I bring the heat, that just rekindles that fire for everybody. That's why they're here. That's the guy that I wanted to come work for.
Yep.
And I don't ever want to lose that. And that right, wrong, or indifferent. And maybe I'm thinking too small-minded, and somebody should replace me someday. And I'm sure somebody will. And that's my plan someday, to have somebody replace me. But until then, I'm going to be the chief energy officer. When
Yeah.
I'm there, I'm going to be present.
Yeah.
There are times that I can't be there, even though I'm there, right? But when I'm there and I have that bandwidth, I need to be there, and my presence needs to be known, not in a negative way, but
Yeah.
bringing that energy, bringing that heat. When I'm there. And what was the second part to that?
Well, the vision side.
Yeah.
And I've gone through this too, as I'm trying to, as I've grown my business, like I'm a believer in entrepreneurship of a rule that, if you want to be successful, replace yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Find people better than you, and work yourself out of I've done all the jobs, and I've worked myself out of all the jobs.
Right.
You get to a certain level, you're like, now what?
Yeah.
But through that journey, you should really press in and understand who you are and what makes you tick and what your strength zone is.
Mm-hmm.
Like we all have a superpower, right? And one of my superpowers is connecting with people and being able to kind of like be that energy officer and being the vision of the company and connecting people and bringing people into things. So I just try to do that all the time.
I like that.
Right.
Yep.
And I think in this journey, I went through a point where I'm like, kind of start to lose your identity.
Dude, Ben there did that a
couple
few years ago.
Yep. And now maybe I've even devalued myself as a visionary for the company.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily I have some great mentors in my life that really kind of poured into me. It's like, dude, get that out of your head, because I felt like almost devaluing my own company because I replaced myself with people who were better at the job than I was at the job.
Have you ever found yourself trying to get caught up to new technology that they may have implemented, and you feel some kind of way like, I don't even know how to use that gadget? Or have you never got that disconnected?
So guilty as charged, man. Like, you do not want me trying to operate a lot of our technology.
Yeah.
Like, I could get in there and foam around and look at reports and do enough to be dangerous.
Yes.
But no.
You ever beat yourself up by not mastering that like you did early on?
No, for a short period of time. But no, I think I've really understood that the concept, like, that's not my job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And to be a high level entrepreneur, I have to find people to execute all the things. I don't have to know every little thing about everything, because that becomes, and I'm a control guy. I like control, but I've had to learn that if I'm going to have to know everything about everything and control things, it's going to limit me. It's going to limit my company. It's going to limit them. So I've had to learn to, like, I get calls. I got working with guys over here on a big job, like national claims advisors, right? On a big job. And he's like, oh yeah, the funds just got released on that big yada yada horse barn thing. We're doing like a $500,000 job. I'm like,
okay,
cool.
Yeah.
I think they were rolling panels a couple of weeks ago, but I don't know.
Yeah.
There was a point in my life I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know. But now I'm like, dude, we're doing like 10 jobs a day.
Yeah.
All over the place. I don't, whether it's service or solar or commercial. Like, I can't
have your finger on the pulse of all that.
If I knew about all those jobs, our company would be in trouble.
Yeah.
But I have great leadership and great structure in place to where I know what I need to know enough. And when things are difficult and I got to help solve problems, great, I'm there. But I've empowered my team to execute. And I just run leadership team meetings and try to run the thing like a CEO and not, like someone who's running around in the weeds acting like a CEO, So yes, it's been a transition, but it's
when would you say that happened? Was there just like one day you were like, okay, I give up, I can't figure it out? Or was it like a slow transition? And how far back was that?
So, some of my background of, I did it all myself at first, right? I was doing the books, writing the checks.
That's why I'm asking you this. Yes.
Doing all the things.
Same thing.
Okay.
Same thing. Yep.
I was doing all the things.
Yes.
I lost it all. I went bankrupt, literally bankrupt, filed, wrote it. Like, it was a really tough time in my life. And the biggest thing I learned out of that is, like, if you really want to be successful, you can't do that. You can't be the be all end all of your company. And from that moment, I knew that if I'm going to rebuild, my objective from day one was always to be an entrepreneur, not a business runner, not a manager, I talk to my staff, whatever. I'm like, I claim this, like, I'm a visionary, not a manager.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my thing.
Right.
I hire great managers because that's their job, is to manage. My job is to be vision and to make sure that this company has a great reputation and great brand, and that we put the right people in the right seats, that I hire great people from top to bottom. That's my thing, right? Not the day-to-day in the weeds. So I learned that after that failure, my mission from then on was to not get so attached to every little thing, because I knew what kind of limits that would put on myself and on my business. And we've been able to execute from there.
Yeah, and that you talked about limits there, and it's like, not only do you suffer, but your family suffers too when you're trying to be the chief everything officer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Ben there did that. My moment came about 9 years ago, probably a little further back. My mom lived with us. She moved in with us. She was diagnosed with cancer for her second bout with it. And we were out to dinner one night. It was me, my wife, and my mom. And my phone rang about 7:30 at night, and everything came through this. I mean, everything. Every lead, every phone call, every email, every text message, everything came through it. And I just couldn't take it. I red buttoned it, and I never did, because I thought, this is how I feed my family. Every time that phone rings, like, I need to answer.
There's value to that.
Yeah.
Right? Every time I touch this phone, there's a value attached to it, because I'm the person in control of it.
Right. And my poor mom, and I was beating myself up because, Jana was watching, taking care of my mom all day long. And I was beating myself up for not being present, right? Emotionally present. Even when I was there, I wasn't there. So I was kicking the crap out of myself, and I felt bad. And my mom was sitting there, and she looked at me, and she said something, and it's not very profound, and we've heard it. Two things she said to me, but for whatever reason in that moment, it hit differently. Okay. And mind you, my mom was she was dying basically of cancer. And she said, Tyrus, she said, life is too short. We've heard that our whole life, but in that moment, it's giving me goosebumps.
Yeah, man.
Dude, like, she's like, life is entirely too short. And she's been an entrepreneur her whole life. Bar restaurant industry. That's what I grew up in. And my dad was a mechanical engineer, but a wonderful carpenter. And my uncles, his brothers, and my grandfather's great grandfather are all good, wonderful carpenters. This is where I got my skills from. And so she said that, and then she said, you need help. You need to find someone to help you. So at that moment, it was over 9 years ago, I went on a mission to find people. And this is what was crazy. We had already had people in our organization. The problem was I taught them not how to think, but what to think. Right? Like, they were waiting for me for all the answers.
Yep.
So my mind shifted at that moment. It was like, I need help. My family's suffering. I'm kicking the shit. I can't even spend an hour with my mom at Texas Roadhouse or wherever we were. Longhorn Steakhouse is where we were, up in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. And so I went on a mission, and it wasn't easy for me to start finding people, to surround myself with people. But somebody said something to me, and I know I'm going to say this wrong, but they said, if I could find somebody that could do what I was doing 70% as well as I could do it at 100%, they're going to be doing it 100% better than how you're doing it now. Okay. Because everything that I'm doing, I'm mediocre at. I cannot excel at anything. I'm bogged down. So out of those 15 tasks, and this is no exaggeration, there was 15 tasks that I was doing, created 12 full-time, 40-hour-a-week plus jobs for 12 individuals. Out of the 15 things that I was doing on a daily basis, ordering materials, doing the takeoff, selling jobs. I was even doing repairs still at that point in time, right? Like, I'm doing everything. I had a service department. I had accounts payable. I had account receivables, but there was not one thing. I still, to this day, the one thing I won't let go with. Now, most people do ACH, but I sign every check that's printed. I just, out of respect, I don't care if it's going to distribution, manufacturing, a subcontractor, an employee that doesn't have ACH. I still sign every hand sign, not stamp. I have a stamp in case I am out of town, like I am right now. The accountant's got the stamp. But
it's locked. I got one too. It's locked. Locked in the safe.
You know what I mean? But and I just find that's a respect thing. Like, thank you. Thank you for your, thank you. You know what I mean? At least I can do. But But I went on a mission to surround myself around people that were smarter than me
Yeah.
in areas that I shouldn't even be messing with. Like, I don't know anything about a website. Could I figure it out? Yeah, I could build a website, but I don't have 4, 6, 8 months to figure it out.
Yeah.
Hire a professional.
Yeah.
Hire someone that knows SEO. Hire someone. I just had a great podcast with Dini about AI and SEOs. Great, cool, love it. I'll get on the horn and make sure my team's already out in front of this, because that's my job, to make sure that we're flowing in the right direction, making sure, like, I loved how you said, making sure the marketing, the branding, the brand is still being represented the way that the brand was built.
It's you're
Yeah.
TC, that's your company,
Right.
That's your brand. Like, you have to own that. We have to own that.
Yeah.
Right? That's part of what we have to, and whether we realize it or not, it is our brand, and our values, whether they're written or not, they're there, and it's a direct extension of us as the founder of as the visionary of the business. And if we're not intentional about what the narrative is of that brand, and what the messaging is, and what that brand represents, guess what happens? The narrative gets filled in for you, and other people's narratives are not ours, and then we lose total control there. So that's the one thing where it's my baby, it's my brand, and I will always be there to support that and own that.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I think this is a good place for us to wrap up, man. But this, dude, what an amazing conversation. I'm
So
grateful.
cool, man.
Yeah, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for everything you've done for our industry. Let's do something together. I don't know what, like, whatever. Let's figure something out.
I'm with you, brother. Yeah, we'll get you on our show too.
Yeah.
And let's do it, man. Congrats.
Thank you.
You guys, hey, you can't see. You see, like, no, this setup is legit. As good as it gets, man. Super professional.
Thank you.
I got work to do myself, man.
Hey, any questions, man?
I got to level
Don't
it up,
hesitate.
dude.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, man.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you on the next round.